Hey everyone, it's Evan here from the Trade Risk on Thursday, September 7th. We're intraday right now, and we're covering tickers that you guys asked for to be reviewed. Sent out a message on StockTwits and Twitter asking for tickers. We got 6 names we're going to cover, so we're going to get through those in just a moment. If you're interested in the general sort of broad market analysis or the other major markets, sector analysis, we covered all of that yesterday in our usual midweek Wednesday video, so you can just watch the last video here on YouTube or go to thetraderisk.com. You can see the latest post there, and again, subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up to date with all of these videos. That will certainly help you out if you enjoy watching these. So with that, let's jump into what you guys are looking for. We get a lot of overlap here on names that are on my watch list and what you guys asked for, so that's encouraging to see. I always like that. So the first is Tesla, and we're going to start off looking at a weekly chart here of Tesla and just basically point out a few things. Notice here we are in a long-term uptrend. This started really all of this year. Tesla's been on fire. It started down here around 180 or so, and this move continued all the way to the top end of the range. We had a significant breakout of a multi-year sort of sideways channel here around March, April of this year. And that took us all the way up to almost $400. We get up to about 385 or so before we started to pull back. Came back down, retested, found support at 300, bounced up, and now we're sort of just moving sideways, consolidating here. So again, notice on the weekly chart, 8 and 20 period moving average, just my personal preference moving averages that I like to have on my charts. They're bullishly aligned, they're up, prices above it or just kind of teetering on that 8 period, and we are very healthy, in very healthy fashion, sort of working off this massive move that we've had for the first 7 or 6 months of this year. So if we go down to a daily chart, you can see we have a trend line now that extends from the highs in June. We got a trend line here that extends from the lows around 300 in July. And you can see price is kind of getting sandwiched right in between them. We're getting that compression coming in, and we're getting potentially a resolve soon. It doesn't have to be a sort of high volume, massive resolve. It could really just start to morph in to a larger, messier sort of consolidation. I think at this point, we really just want to give Tesla some time. I think the trends are higher on multiple time frames. Everything looks good. Structurally, it's behaving exactly like you'd want to see. The volume recently in this consolidation is low. So for me, I'm looking at this setup as a potential bullish resolve, and I'd be interested in either a breakout above this trend line here, kind of uptick in volume, or a nice, kind of range expansion above here. And I also really like to see it though above 365 or so. These were the highs here from August. Also has some price structure in that area back from June or July. So for me, I'd want to see it above this trend line and clearing back above 365 or so. That would probably get me interested in a new sort of momentum entry setup in Tesla. If you're already in it, of course, you're probably just sitting tight. And who knows, if we decide we need to kind of break down and break below this lower trend line here, maybe we have to come back and retest this 300 area. You could still make a very bullish argument if we even came back down and retested 300 and again just carved out a wider sort of longer duration range up here. I think that would still be perfectly healthy from a longer term perspective in Tesla. So that's my thoughts in Tesla. Let's go to our next stock here, PANW. So this is Palo Alto. Palo Alto had a nice gap higher last Friday, 10% to the upside here. Let's take a look at that weekly time frame. This is what I really like about this setup, and actually even a monthly time frame, which I know seems extraordinarily long, but really kind of smooths the picture out here. We had a massive run up from 2014 all the way up to mid 2015 or so. So about a year and a half where we went from, call it $40 all the way up to almost $200. So it was almost a 5x return in about a year and a half. And we are still in the process of working that epic move off on just a multi-year time frame. So we've been pulling back off of the highs since 2015, and you can see we're just getting and challenging the top end of this trend line, of this range here, or this channel here, that we've been in for multiple years. Now, we've repeatedly failed at this level, so this is certainly a point where we want to take notice. You can see the 8 and 20 period, even on the monthly chart, starting to get a curl back over. If we go back down to the daily chart, we can sort of refine our entry here, and really, with this big gap higher, we want to see if it can hold it intact, so if it can not completely roll over and fill this gap up, because if it fails up here, it's going to look like every other time over the past couple of years. But if it can hang in here and sort of stabilize itself and then make a kind of a secondary move, a breakout back above this post earning, I believe this was earnings, maybe not. Actually don't know what this day was, but if we start to break above 148, 149, that's certainly a place to take notice. Do note though, we do have a lot of previous supply right in here, right around 150 or 160. So it really depends what time frame you're looking at. Again, weekly chart. If you're playing this from a multi-year sort of trend basis, that you're really looking to kind of park capital here for an extended period of time, you'd probably want to even still wait a little bit longer and get back above 155, 160 or so to really sort of definitively break this trend line and get above some of these prior pivots over here. If you're more tactical swing trader looking for a couple of days to a multiple weeks, then again, I think this pivot around 148 or so makes a lot of sense for a potential momentum entry, especially if this gap holds open. But again, I like this setup on a structural basis, and I think it's something to pay attention to. But again, I still think it needs a little time here. Again, it's failed every time it's kind of come up to the top end of this range, so we do want to just wait and kind of be a little patient there in PANW. So next, let's look at NTNX. So this is a name that I'm not familiar with. If we look at the weekly chart, we'll start there. You can see it's basically it's a young issue. Came public in late 2016, and you can see it really hasn't done much. It's been in mostly a downtrend. You can see we've gotten some volume upticks here, so it looks like we are starting to stabilize a bit. We made a move off of the lows here from $14. We got a potential sort of high volume reversal starting to stage in here over the past couple of weeks. So something to pay attention to, but for me, it's not all that interesting. I really would love to see above $24. That to me would at least take out the July highs. It would take out some of these recent highs here from last week. It would get us back above this pivot low from November of 2016. And if we go down to a daily chart, it would start to get us back towards and into this gap here. So for me, it's something to maybe pay attention to. You definitely have that volume coming in, but I'd really just want to see it at least get above $24, and then I'd start to pay a closer look to it. Next, the trade desk. So this is one that I've been following for a while. I think we've been charting this too. I love this setup. Weekly chart here. This is the full picture. What night and day difference between this setup and our last setup, NTNX. Basically the same amount, same IPO time, right? But this listing kind of starts in the bottom left of your screen and kind of trends up to the upper right of your screen. This is a stock that I really like the formation, the technical picture of, and I really like this upper level base that it's been carving out, and it's just getting ready to challenge these all-time highs here. So I like it. It's something I'm paying attention to. 57.50, today's highs. This is, again, a pretty actionable spot here. I think how it closes the week will be interesting. That's something that I think for this type of setup makes a lot of sense to pay attention to as potential signal. At least that's sort of the way that I look at these setups. So I really like TTD. Looks good to me. Next is Amazon. This is one that I was paying attention to as well. Take a look at the weekly chart first. You can see here, made it all the way up to almost $1,100, pulled back for about 6 weeks in a row, found some support at the 20 period. Well, had this kind of outside reversal week last week, where we made new lows, reversed, and then we took out the highs from the prior week, back above the 20 period. There's a lot to like here on that weekly chart, because Amazon's been in a very long-term uptrend since 2015 or even earlier than that. But if we look back down here on the daily chart, you can see we really almost got this higher low to work with now. Basically this kind of double bottom 2-day lows here from basically Tuesday and Wednesday. We're starting to break above it. So I like Amazon. I think today's a sort of minor buy signal here. If we get back above 985, that could cause some more sort of momentum to come in. So I like it. Let's not forget, or let's not get too carried away. Maybe we stall out again as we get back towards these recent highs in here. So maybe we start to carve out maybe a wider range in here. But for tactical swing trading, I like it. I like the setup. I even like the actionable sort of play off of today's action. So that's Amazon. Next is CELH. This is a name I'm not familiar with either. But if we go to a weekly time frame here, Let me just make sure. Yes. So if we go to a weekly time frame here, you can see this has been a long-term uptrend. It's a very small issue. It's only a $248 million company, so a very small sort of micro cap name here. If we go to a monthly chart, let's take a look at that. All right, so you can see, started off 2010, had the IPO, bottomed out in 11, and it's been really on the move higher since. A lot of volume coming in recently, so I like it. I mean, it's an uptrend. It's at all-time highs. It's tough not to like something like that. I don't trade this low of a market cap, and the volume here, it's doing about 200, well, just recently, so it's a fairly lighter issue. So this is sort of out of my wheelhouse on what I usually screen, but just from a trend, momentum, structural sort of standpoint here, I like it. It's at highs. It's at nearly at highs. If you're trying to buy it right here, probably not best advised, just given the fact it's had such an incredible move from $3.50 to $6, but something on pullbacks, on digestion, on some sideways movement, it makes a lot of sense here. So I like CELH, even though it's something that I really wouldn't be trading myself. So that is it. Those are 6 names that we had to cover. Hopefully this helped. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Again, subscribe to our channel if you do like these videos. Stay up to date with all the latest that we're doing. And have yourself a great day. Talk to you guys again soon.